All right, guys, welcome tonight. Tonight is an awesome night. I hope that you're all excited and jumping on tonight because tonight is the launch of the Athletistry ELITE program for dancers. So, as you guys jump on, let me know where you're coming in from. We'll get started in just a minute. I'm just waiting for people to jump on a little bit, see what's happening, see who's coming to watch. As you jump on, let me know where you're coming in from, whether you're a dancer, what your goals are, what you're wanting to achieve. Um, Let me know where in the world you're based. Let me know what your background is, how much you love to dance, whether you don't like to dance. I don't know, but yeah, let me know. Let me know what's going on, guys. I'm excited to bring this on today. This is something that I've been wanting to launch for a long time. It's something that I think that will change the dance world once it starts to get going and people start to see the power that working with someone and having someone in your corner to help you to progress and reach an elite level can do for you. And I'm really excited to support and help everyone as much as I possibly can. So you can see me now. Um, let's get going. I've got 4 people on here. Guys, just drop in the comments. Let me know what's going on. Let me know where you're coming in from. We'll get started in just a couple seconds here. Very excited to be launching this program tonight. It's been something that I've been thinking about and working on and pontificating for many years now. So let's get into it. Here we go. Who am I? As you can see, I'm in both corners of the screen. Isn't that creepy? Look at that. My name is Shane Worthner. I have a very long background and experience, a lot of experience in the dance world. So I started at the age of 5. My dad wanted me to be coordinated. It was a thing that he had. I guess he just wanted me to move really well, and so he put me into a lot of different things. I did martial arts, I did gymnastics, I did musical theater, I did ballet, I did tap, I did jazz. I even competed in ballroom for about 5 or 6 years. So I've done quite a few things, and I think it's really important, especially when you're a dancer, to have quite a wide background. So what brought me to dance? Like I got to a point where I think I was 9 or 10, and I realized how much I loved it. Like everything else had started to fall off. I didn't have the same level of commitment to the other activities I was doing, and ballet just started to take over. I became very committed to it, and I had a teacher who said, "Look, you could do this professionally. You have the ability, you have the mind, you have the drive to get there." And I think a lot of young students at around the age of 9, 10, 11, 12, they start to be told that by teachers. Oh, you've got that something that a dancer needs in order to be a professional dancer. So she recommended that I go. I lived in San Francisco at the time. That I go to Washington D.C. to train at the Kirov Academy, and that's what brought me to a new level. So I got there that summer, and I did a summer program there, and I had the same teacher every day for 8 weeks, and it was an amazing experience. My dance went from like down here up to here, and I was 11 years old. Now, of course, it was a boarding school, and the opportunity arose for me to join the school full time. But it was very difficult because my parents we all lived in San Francisco, so it was across the country. And so it took about 4 or 5 months for me to get to that point to figure out how are we going to move across the country, because my parents didn't want to send me off to a boarding school at 11 years old. How are we going to move across the country, relocate the entire family for me to pursue my dreams? And I think this comes up a lot especially in young dancers' lives. Either they're going to go off on their own at a very young age and experience dance on their own in a foreign country without any support, or potentially, halfway across the world. It can be very daunting. So in my case, I was very lucky. I had my family. They moved across the country, and I spent the next 5.5 years under the tutelage of one amazing man. His name is Anatoly Kucheruk. So I had one coach. I had one. There's probably two or three people that I could credit with my training. One being Leslie Crockett, the other being Tamara Stockkuhn, the third one being Anatoly Kucheruk, and he basically took the 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 wide breadth of my abilities as a dancer and brought them to where they were pre-professional. So taking me from that early dancer to company ready. It took 5.5 years, and I had the same teacher day in, day out, uh, 12 months, 12 months out of the year, 6 days a week, basically, for 5.5 years. In my last year in high school, so I actually graduated a year early. I was 16 when I graduated high school, at top of my class. Um, highest grade point average 3 out of the 4 years in high school, and um, I got to 16 and I had job offers. So imagine, okay, imagine your number one passion, right? You've been training in this number one passion for probably like 10, 13, 12, 13 years at this point. And suddenly you are faced with the opportunity to do it professionally, to do this thing that you've been perfecting for so many years and get paid for it. It's not a job at that point. It's like you're doing your art form, the thing that you've been working on, and being paid to do it. And so I had opportunities. One was with Royal Danish, one was with the American Ballet Theater, and I had one with Boston Ballet at the time, but they were going to ask me to emancipate myself. And I just felt like at 16, I was probably too young. I wasn't ready to go out on my own. And so I actually went back to Kirov for another year, just trained in dance, and didn't have any academics, which really actually let me take myself to that professional level. And in January of 2005, I auditioned with the Vienna State Opera and got a job. And for the next 7.5 years, I danced with the Vienna State Opera. So I danced as eventually after dancing there for, I think it was 4 years before I was promoted to demi-soloist, and then another 2 years before I was promoted to soloist. So I danced with the Vienna State Opera, had a lot of great opportunities. Probably the bulk. So the bulk of my career was in Vienna, in Europe, which for anyone who's in the dance world, who understands the dance world, knowing that Europe is kind of the hub of the art scene, that's an amazing experience. So especially Vienna, it's like the center of culture in Europe. So I spent most of my dance career there. In 2012, I transferred with my wife to the San Francisco Ballet, and then in 2014, made the big jump to Australia and danced with the Queensland Ballet for 2 years as a principal dancer. Now, eventually with everything, unfortunately, the career has to end. So it did get to a point where, after putting strain on my body like that for 25 years, that my knees, my ankles, my body just was not in the place that it can continue to uphold the level of dancing that I wanted to. And I was in pain every day. So I was going into the studio, I was taking painkillers, I was struggling to be able to do what I loved. And so, I kind of realized towards the end of my career that coaching was something that I really enjoyed, that mentoring and working with younger dancers and helping those younger dancers, first of all, to understand the ballets they were performing, to get the most out of their class, to get the most out of the rehearsals, and really to support them in the mindset. Because from a very young age, we're hypercritical, right? And I'll get into all this as we go through this webinar, but it's really just a little bit of information about myself so that you have some connection to me. So what I realized is that dancers needed a coach, but I didn't know how to do that at the time. I wasn't qualified. I didn't have that understanding because I had been a dancer. And I think one of the things I like to say is that in dance, you're very self-centered. So you go into the studio, you work on yourself. It's all about perfecting you. I think, and once you become a coach, which is what I've done, it's all about perfecting the person across from you. So the person that you're working with, and getting them to that next level. And so I like to say that I've probably had to talk more in the 2 years as a coach than I did in the previous 30 years outside of coaching. But it's most likely true. So guys, if you're jumping on, let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know what your background is. If you're a dancer, this is definitely going to be huge for you guys. As you come on, let me know that you're here. Let me know what's going on. All right. So why are we here? Why have I launched this program? Why am I creating this program for dancers? Essentially, dancers, in my opinion, are struggling, and it's not because there's not enough pay, or it's not because the conditions are bad. It's because there's this stigma in the dance world that's been around for hundreds of years of the master versus the apprentice. And for basically your entire career as a dancer, you are at a subservient level to the ballet masters in the room. Now, I'm not saying that that's ever going to change. I don't know that it should. It's part of the culture. It's part of the history of the dance world. It's part of why dance has been as successful as it has, is because we still have this master apprentice setup. However, we are in a very modern world now, and the understanding of how people interact is not the same as it was 200 years ago. You know, we don't have that same master apprentice setup in anything else. It's a very unique kind of art form in that sense. And so what tends to happen with dancers, and this is something that I recognize from a very early age, and depending on your training as well, it can be better or it can be worse. But what I recognized is that dancers, number one, you have to be super disciplined, right? Because you're going in and you're causing your body immense pain to create these beautiful figures. So if you've ever watched a ballet, I don't know how many people tuning into this have actually watched a ballet or been in a ballet environment before, but it looks very beautiful on stage. It looks tremendously graceful and light, and it's an aesthetic that dancers create when they walk onto the stage. Now that takes many years of practice to create that, and if you've ever watched little girls flouncing around in tutus versus professional dancers, you can see that difference, right? So it takes a lot of work, and when you go into the studio training for years, day in, day out, multiple hours a day, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, to create these lines and perfect your body in a way that's not natural for it. Doing that in a room where you're basically half naked in tights and a leotard, standing in front of someone who's going to be extremely critical to help you to get there, but also can be to an extent very harsh in the way that they approach you. For some people, it can be very detrimental to their psyche. And so as dancers, we go through this process where not only are we critical of ourselves, but our peers are critical of us, our teachers are critical of us, our directors, our ballet masters. It's a very hypercritical environment. And then when we go on stage and we perform, we're also then being criticized by our audience and even the critics that are there watching us create the art form that we are trained in on stage, right? So it can be very difficult for a dancer coming out of that to handle that with a positive mindset. And so what I recognize, and I do this a lot with my non-dance clients as well, but what I recognize is that there's not enough support for dancers in that space. So dancers aren't coming, they're not even reaching out to people to get that kind of help. But it was even something I recognized towards the end of my career, is that there's not a lot of psychology being worked on with dancers. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but I do understand coaching methods. I do understand helping someone through a process of negative mental stimulus to a positive mental stimulus and how to fix that. So what my goal is to help dancers to improve not only their physique and their nutrition, but also to help them with their mindset, so that when they walk into the studio, they're viewing themselves in a positive light. Because if they're in there and they're constantly breaking themselves down, eventually what happens is you develop anxiety. You develop performance anxiety. You get to a point where you're unable to perform at the level you want to, where regardless of how hard you try and how hard you work, that the steps and the effort just does not culminate in the desired result. Okay. So let me just do this here. Why dancers struggle? Again, they're hypercritical, right? We've got such high physical demands on us as dancers that it's something that can be very difficult for some people to meet. And there are going to be those people that are very good at it. So there are going to be those people that can push all of the negativity aside, that can just come into the studio, work on themselves, not be negatively critical, and get to a high level. But for the majority of dancers, and I think you find this especially towards the end of a career, that dancers just really struggle with that demand that they put on themselves and the criticism that they create. So taking that into consideration, the other side of it is that we then get situations where we're eating foods that are not necessarily good for us because we're constantly working. So an example of a day, you get to the studio at 9 a.m. You have class, and you warm up and you stretch before class from 10 to 10:30, 15-minute break, rehearsal from 10:45 until 2, maybe an hour if you're lucky for lunch, and then from 3 until 6:30 you're rehearsing again. So you're not getting a lot of time to properly prep food. You're probably not wanting to eat a lot of food at lunch because you're maybe going into a rehearsal in the afternoon where you've got a lot of work. And if you've ever exercised quite heavily in a high intensity exercise before, for those of you non-dancers watching this, if you've ever done high intensity exercise on a full stomach, it usually doesn't end well. So taking that all into consideration, imagine now a dancer who is waking up probably exhausted from a performance the night before, rushing to get some quick energy to get their body through the morning, then going into lunch, having something small that's going to give them a little bit of energy, and then going into the afternoon rehearsing, coming home exhausted at night, or potentially going straight into a performance and not getting a great dinner. All right, so poor nutrition is going to be a part of it. When your nutrition is poor, we know that food can affect mood. We know that food can affect the mind. And so if your body's not being properly fed, your performance is going to suffer. And if your performance is suffering, you then develop performance anxiety. So fear that you're not going to perform at the level that you want. And then, when you're in a professional situation, there's even that fear that, oh, I didn't do that well enough. I might not have a job going forward. I might not get chosen by the choreographer at the front of the room. And it can start to kind of sit in your mind and fester into this situation where you're not getting the results you want. Guys, if you're enjoying this, you're getting something out of this, let me know. I know it's a lot of information to be taking in, but it's essentially, for me, it's super important that dancers understand that there is help to be had out there, and guidance and coaching that they can get that's going to be from a different perspective. So it's going to be nurturing, it's going to be supportive, it's not going to be a negative type of coaching where we're pushing you down and telling you you're not good enough, not active enough, not working hard enough, but actually trying to find ways to get you to get to that next level, to create an elite level of performance in you, so that every time you go on stage, every time you go into the classroom, every time you rehearse, you are ready for what's happening mentally, physically, and spiritually as well. Yeah. So when we're looking at all these things, right, we've got mindset, we've got fitness, we've got your self-image, and then we've got peak performance. Okay. For me, mindset is the key here. Mindset is where all of this sits. It's at the basis. It's at the start of the process. If your mindset is not in the right place, you're not going to want to do extra work outside of the studio. And if you're not doing extra work outside of the studio, potentially your self-image will suffer, because you're going to start looking at yourself and saying, oh, I'm not strong enough to do that. Oh, I don't look like that other girl in the studio. You start to compare yourself. You start to look at other dancers and say, but they look so good. Why don't I look like that? And when that happens, you get this cross correlation between mindset and peak performance. So imagine you go into the studio, you see another dancer who you idolize. Maybe they're at a higher level than you. Maybe they've been there longer. You see that they go into the gym every day and they're working really hard, right? You see that they potentially, in your eyes, have a great self-image and that they have a high peak performance. You go back into your own mind and you start to think, oh, how do I do that? And then, I'm already rehearsing 7 hours a day in the corps de ballet. How do I get to that level where I can go into the gym outside of this, where I can have a positive self-image, where I can perform at that level, right? And so you're already defeating yourself, because your mindset is in a place where you're comparing to others, where you're stopping yourself from achieving, because you're saying, oh, that person is better than me. That person is farther along than me. How can I do that? But it even happens for high level dancers. So even when I was at the peak of my career as a principal dancer, there were times when I would go into the studio and not feel adequate. There were times when I would go into the studio and not feel like I had the strength or the ability or the flexibility or the tricks that other dancers had. And so I would start to break myself down and say, oh, I'm not strong enough. Oh, I'm not flexible enough. Oh, I can't do that. My self-image would fall down. but I was already rehearsing 6 hours a day. How do I find time for fitness? And so between all of those things, my performance was not at a peak level. I started to develop anxiety around my performance. I would go on stage and not feel like I could do what I had set out to do, or that my rehearsal was better than my performance. And I just felt like I was failing to a certain extent. And that consistent failure can impact ongoing performance as well, right? So how has this impacted me? Like 25 years perfecting my craft. I spent 25 years doing in this art form, working with other dancers, working with high level coaches, some of the best in the dance industry. And I watched as other dancers struggled. I watched as people that I cared about, that I was colleagues with, that one season were doing very well, the next season were falling apart. And it just made me think, like, what's going on? Watching other dancers struggle, watching other dancers not be able to maintain health and getting injured, watching dancers feed themselves with food that wasn't supportive, drinking excessively because of negative mindset. And this all starts at a very young age. So when you're moving from regional dance school to professional dance school to professional level dancer, there's a lot of challenges that come into life. Potentially you're away from parents, potentially you're away from a support team, and you're trying to build a career in an art form without any support. And so for me, my thought process is, how can I help? Like, what's my role here? What can I do? I started to think to myself, I know there's a solution. I know that there are people that I can help and support with this. What is that? How do I do that? And so my thought process around this is that I want to create a coaching program and launch this program to help heal dancers and heal a broken system, one dancer at a time, right? I know there's a solution that can be there. And the solution for me is this world first coaching program. Okay. It's not something that I've ever seen anyone else do before. There's coaching for pretty much every other industry. You've got peak performance coaches for business. You've got it for athletes. You've got it for even for PTs. Like, I even have a business coach, right? Coaches need coaches. Everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs someone who's done something that you want to do, that can show you the way, that can guide you, that can help you, that can support you in the process. All right, guys, if you're enjoying this, let me know. Let me know if you're getting something out of this. Otherwise, I will continue. So what is the world first? What is this program that I'm going to offer? Well, as you already know, it's called Athletistry ELITE. Okay, so what is Athletistry ELITE? For me, Athletistry, the whole idea of Athletistry, and it's something that I came up with as I was moving into my coaching career, is this idea of the artist and the athlete together, right? So athlete, artistry, athletistry, right? There's this idea in dance, and it's kind of a controversial discussion every time someone brings it up. Are dancers athletes, or are dancers artists? And I think this day and age, we have to be both. We have to be able to move with a certain level of strength and speed and precision that you would expect of an athlete, but we have to do it without grimacing, without grunting, without making it look like it's an effort. And so the challenge here, right? The challenge with all of this is, how do we do that? How do we push ourselves to a level that is expected of athletes while making that look pretty? If you've ever watched the Olympics, right? When someone does, when someone does the shot put or runs the 100-meter, they're not doing it with a massive smile on their face, right? They're not lifting someone over their head and tossing them in the air and smiling and finishing first and saying and getting applause, right? It's a very different kind of process as a dancer, but we're expected to do tricks and high level performance for hours. Like when you go on stage in a performance, you're dancing for multiple hours at a time, right? So it's not something that you're just stepping on stage for a couple minutes or even 30 seconds in the case of sports, right? So when we look at this, right, when we look at what is athletistry, athletistry is this ability to meld the two. It's taking art, it's taking the athlete, and it's putting it together into this elite being that can perform at a high level, has this ultimate unbreakable mindset that has the understanding of how to fuel their body, and can utilize fitness outside of the studio, outside of dance, in a way that's going to be supportive and not push them backwards. So it's going to be a way that that we can take the ideas and the principles of exercise, apply them to the dance perspective and the dance movement patterns, and meld them together to get an even higher level of dancer. And this is not something new. This is actually, that part of it is actually something that's being done around the world, across ballet companies. There's a company in Florida that's actually changing the way they run ballet classes, and prioritizing exercise over the traditional dance class. Royal Ballet has a team of 17 different allied health professionals that are working with dancers to improve strength and fitness and well-being. It's something that is definitely coming into fruition across the world, but a lot of dancers don't have access to it at this point. And it's something that I want to help dancers with, on a one-on-one basis, so that they're getting that consistent support, right? And this is not just something where it's like, okay, here's your fitness plan, here's your nutrition plan, go. This is a coaching program, so this is something where we will get on a call and have discussions. So what's the program like, right? What's the process? Essentially, the way that I run coaching and the way that this coaching program is going to run is there will be a weekly coaching call. What do we do? A half-hour call to check in, clarify, and reset. Okay, so every week we'll jump on a call. We'll have a discussion about how your week has gone, how your goals are going. Initially, in our first call, we're going to set some goals for you. So you're going to set a 6-month, a 2-year, and a 5-year goal, and we're going to make sure that those goals align. And in doing that, we're going to create action steps that you can take on a weekly basis to get you moving forward in your career. If you're a student, it's to get you moving towards a career. So helping you from that place of being a student to becoming a professional, right? Every month, your fitness program is going to be updated, and it's going to be updated in a way that when we take your performance schedule, so like if you're a professional dancer and you know when you're going to be performing or how often you're going to be performing, generally every 6 weeks you're in the theater, in most companies, or if you're in Europe, you at least have a greater idea of when your shows are going to be, because the program has been released. What we can do is we can actually periodize your fitness, so that when you're going into a show, we taper it back a little bit, so that as you enter into that heightened rehearsal period right before you go on stage, your body actually feels like it's got more energy, more strength, and more support than it did 2 weeks prior, because you've pulled back a little bit on your exercise, and your body is in a really good condition to go into the program, right? So we're strengthening and building your body into a place where every time you go on stage, you're at the highest level of performance that you possibly can be, while making sure that we're prehabbing every time you go into the gym. You're prehabbing every time you go into the studio with proper warm-up, proper processes for how to get ready for class, how to prepare for rehearsals, and how to keep your body in top operating condition year-round, right? Nutrition guidance, right? So helping you with nutrition. A lot of dancers don't know how to eat properly, because we'll just go for the first source of energy, essentially. We'll jump in there and we'll get the chocolate or the cookies or the muffins or whatever's going to give us high energy. And because we're constantly moving and we're constantly working, we don't put on a lot of weight from eating that type of food, and it doesn't negatively impact us on a physical level, externally, like from an aesthetic perspective. But what it does is it impacts our body from a peak performance perspective. So if you're eating foods that aren't supporting you, and because they're not giving you the right amount of nutrients, either macro or micro in this sense, you're not getting the right amount of vitamins, you're not getting the right sources of energy, what's going to happen is your body's going to have negative results from that. So higher levels of inflammation, higher levels of cortisol, raising stress levels because of the higher levels of cortisol. Your insulin resistance could be down, which is going to cause organs to not function properly. So potentially, when you're on stage, your endurance isn't going to be as high as it could be. So knowing that nutrition can have a massive impact on how your body functions, if you're not feeding yourself properly, the fitness and the mindset isn't really going to matter. You need to be prepared on all aspects of things, right? So there will be mindset exercises. There are going to be tools and practices that I can show you how to do, visualization techniques, guidance on how to prepare your mind and eliminate self-sabotage, eliminate incongruent values that are stopping you from getting where you want to go. And then on top of that, I'm going to create a community for you guys. So every time that you have a question or you need extra guidance, there's going to be actually a community of dancers that are going to be able to come together, that are all working with me to create this elite mindset for themselves, this elite body, this elite being, and the ideal athletistry creation, right? So you're pushing your athlete side, you're pushing your artistry side, and you're creating this elite being that is going to take the dance world by storm. And you're all going to support each other in doing it. I'm going to be there supporting you, and you'll have access to me 24/7. Now, obviously, with dancers don't get paid a lot. So what is the cost of this? There has to be a cost, because you need to value it. You need to value in yourself that you're investing in your career, you're investing in your mindset, you're investing in your fitness, you're investing in your nutrition. What does it cost? Less than a coffee a day. It's not a lot of money. It's a 12-week program generally to start out, because I think that if you're going to see the kind of results, as you know, when you go into a rehearsal for the first time, you're not perfect. When you're learning a dance for the first time, it takes a bit of time for you to understand how the program works. So it takes time for you to figure things out. It takes time for the body to adapt. And if you're not in it for an extended period of time, you're not going to see the results that you're looking to see, right? So that's the program, right? That's Athletistry Elite. Weekly coaching call, monthly fitness programs, nutrition guidance, mindset exercises, and this constant access to me and other dancers who are going to guide and support you. Now, the way that I see this working is that there's going to be two sides of it. There's going to be the pre-professional dancers and the professional dancers, because students need a different set of processes to professional dancers. Professional dancers are already in the dance world. They're maybe looking for more career guidance, whereas pre-professional dancers are looking for how do I take myself from this level to a higher level, from understanding the steps and ballet at a basic level to raising that up to a professional level. So I see it as being two programs, potentially one for pre-professional and one for professional. I'm opening this to everybody for now, because I want to help as many people as possible. We'll see how the program develops as to how it continues, but that's where that's at right now. Okay. So space is limited right now for until the end of the year. I'm really only looking to take on 5 people. I don't want to make this overpowered right now, because it is a very new program. I want to see how it runs. I want to perfect it. It's going to be discounted for those first 5 people. So if you're one of the first 5, you are getting a discount over everyone else who will eventually come into the program. And I want to support you as much as possible. So it's really going to be tailored to each individual. No one workout program is going to be the same. No one diet is going to be the same. The processes around nutrition and mindset and fitness are all going to be tailored to each person. And it's going to be done very systematically, so that it doesn't take hours out of your day. It doesn't take hours out of your life, because I know how precious time is for dancers. I know dancers don't have a lot of time to do anything outside of the studio. And so it will create this program of support and guidance for you that is achievable, but is also something that's going to take you from where you are now to a whole new level that you've never experienced before. So guys, that's pretty much everything for tonight. Last thing is that there is going to be one person who could win. I've posted the link in the video. I'm going to be announcing the winner next week. I just want to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to jump in and register for the competition, because you do have to register. If you haven't registered, obviously I can't draw your name. So I will be drawing that on Friday next week, and I will continue to share this with you guys over the coming week as to how things are working. But I'm super excited to help people. I really want to support dancers. It's something that means a lot to me, and is very passionate, very passionate mission for me to help dancers to achieve the level of dancing that I know that they can. So guys, if you have watched this webinar tonight and you really enjoyed it, let me know. If you're interested in coaching and you want to take this on, or you just want to have a chat about it, send me a message, and we'll jump on a call to see what we can do, to see what will work for both of us. And I can't wait to take you to the next level. So thank you for coming tonight, guys. I have really enjoyed being able to share this with you, and I can't wait to help you to become Athletistry Elite. Have a great evening, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. All the best.